Okay, happy Monday. First of all, if you didn't take your quiz, you have until midnight tonight. You're welcome. Anyway, so today we're going to finish chapter 6 and stop. We're not going to start chapter 7. We could, but I don't want to. We don't need all the time to cover chapter 7. Wednesday and Friday will be more than enough for us. So, does anyone have any questions about the quiz? It looks like, let me check.
No, but we're halfway through the semester.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
I
like,
should,
I don't know why they still don't get it in their head. You know, like,
well,
you should have it by now. They're due by Sunday. Yeah, but, like, the people that, like, don't have a legitimate excuse.
Thank you, Liv. I understand. I understand. Um, so I was pleased by the performance of the quiz, though. The class average was an 87. When you average it out, it's 8.7. I wanted to make another announcement. Now I can't remember what it was. What the heck was it? I don't remember. Did everybody have a good weekend? I closed my pool.
Mine was okay.
Do my test, right?
Yeah, you must have taken it because I didn't mark it. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So when you guys, yeah, Tash, I got yours. Um, you know that if you don't take the quiz by Sunday, you're marked absent, and that doesn't change because you still didn't do it. It's like not going to class, the week before, and then the next week you come back, you make up the quiz, but I don't mark you as present the week you were gone, kind of thing. So you'll probably get, if you miss the quiz, you'll probably get a notification. It means nothing. It means nothing to me. It doesn't impact your grade at all. I'm not going to drop you. Um, there's only one student in both of my intro classes that I am going to withdraw because the student hasn't taken the exam or several quizzes. So, but everybody else is fine. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Okay. Let's get the party started then. Let's finish chapter 6. That's what I want to do. All right. So I said that we're not going to cover illusions or anything like that. It's funny because this slide here, Bob emailed me like Bob does. Hi, Bob. I know you're going to watch this. Everybody say hi, Bob. Hi, Bob. Okay. He goes, those cats are not the same size. He goes, I got a ruler out or something like that. Anyway, I thought that was funny. I wanted to address it. They're supposed to be, but anyway. Okay. So we covered sight. We differentiated between sensation and perception to mean that it happens in different places. Like perception happens in the brain and sensation happens at the sense organ, right? And the sense organ is stimulated by some physical stimulus in the environment, and then it's sent via nerves to the brain for us to interpret it, and then that's perception. We talked about seeing. We talked about the parts of the eye that were important. We talked about the different explanations for seeing color. We talked about the different explanations for uh, how we perceive depth. We talked about visual constancies, that even though things change in our visual field, it doesn't mean they've actually changed, right? Um, I don't know. Talked about stuff and things and stuff, right? So now we're going to go on to hearing. Okay, hearing. How hearing works is essentially um, the air has we have air, and so what that means is because we're not in outer space, we have a lot of like particles in space here, and so what it does is it travels. So when we make noise, like of any kind, really, what we're doing is we're moving the particles in the air, essentially. So when I exhale, and when we exhale and kind of like form our larynx a certain way, we can make noise. Like we can force it through our like voice box, right? And so it has these like a reed. You know how like a reed like a piece of grass. You could put it in between your thumbs and go and blow on it, and wee, it makes a whistle. That's kind of how it works. It vibrates back and forth, and the speed at which it vibrates essentially shakes the air at a comparable speed. So if it vibrates really fast, the air that it's pushing is also fast in the sense that it's a push, 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 push. Right? If it's slow, it's a push, 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 push. So what we're doing is we are making vibrations in our throat and then putting it in our mouth, and our mouth refines, and that's where it gets like its timbre. We'll talk about that in a second. And then it pushes it out of our mouth, and it pushes the air in front of our mouth, and then that creates pressure to the air in front of it, and then that creates pressure to the air in front of it, and it travels in these waves, like like a push and a push and a push. Then it finally reaches our ear, and it's funneled. It's kind of refined. That's why our ear has a shape like it does. It like accentuates certain frequencies and dullens others. But then it gets kind of funneled into our what are called pinna, which are our external ear, the outer ear, and then it's directed into the middle ear. And then the middle ear starts where the eardrum is, also known as the tympanic membrane. And so basically what's happening is the air is shaking, boom, 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 and then it shakes the eardrum, like boom, 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 like that. Attached to the eardrum are bones, these three bones. They're called ossicles, so the smallest bones in your body. So when we shake the air, it's funneled through our outer ear directed to our middle ear, which shakes then the eardrum or tympanic membrane, which then attached to that is a bone called the malleus, right? And then attached to that malleus is another bone called the incus. And then attached to that bone is another bone called the stapes. And so what happens is the air shakes the eardrum, which shakes the malleus, which shakes the incus, which shakes the stapes. And now the stapes is slapping itself against the inner ear part. Now we're entering the inner ear. And that is where we have our sense receptors. And the inner ear is called the cochlea. Okay. So what it's doing is that stapes is smacking what's called an oval window. Think of it as like a second eardrum. But instead of it being air, like air is forced from our outer ear into our outer ear to our middle ear, middle ear, shakes that one, shakes that one, shakes that one, shakes that one. Now the stapes is smacking itself at a particular rate or frequency against the oval window, and now it's vibrating fluid inside this snail-shaped structure, this whatever organ, and it's fluid-filled. And inside that snail-shaped fluid-filled organ are our sense receptors, and these are called these sensory receptors, just like the photoreceptors, the rods and the cones. These are called hair cells or auditory receptors. And so dependent on the speed at which the oval window is being hit by the stapes, depending on how fast it's hitting it, it's going to activate different receptors. Then, now this is where sensation is happening. Great. Then it sends a signal through the auditory nerve to the temporal lobes, and now we're hearing. Now we're perceiving it. Now I told you everything right there. That's everything about hearing. And so from now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through the slides and say, this is when I was talking about that, and this is when I was talking about that. Okay. So we can change, just like sight has the three main properties. Light has three main properties: intensity, frequency, and purity. It's the same thing for sound. Intensity for light is brightness. Intensity for sound is loudness. Frequency for light is color. Frequency for sound is pitch. Purity for light is saturation. Purity for sound is called timbre. So I can say, scoot 'em about in jellyfishes, right? Or I can say the same thing with the same loudness and the same pitch, but I can change the purity. Scoot 'em about in jellyfishes. See, it sounds muffled. That's impacting the purity of the sound. I'm making it more complex, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? So how loud something is, what the pitch is, high versus low, and then how clear it is. You know when people play the trumpet and they put that little horn thing on the wow 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 thing? They're messing with timbre. They're messing with not the intensity, not the pitch. They're messing with the clarity, the purity of the sound. All right, so here it is. And look, that's a coincidence, isn't it? Didn't expect that. All right. So sound is generated from something, right? And then it travels to the outer ear. Then it funnels it to the middle ear. And here we have the eardrum, the malleus, the incus, and the stapes. And then we have the inner ear, this snail-shaped thing called the cochlea. And then inside we have a fluid filled, but along it are these little hair cells or auditory receptors that are sensitive to different frequencies. And then dependent on the frequency that's hitting this, boom, 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 it'll shake this one, boom, 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 which will shake this one, boom, 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 and then this one, boom, 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 and then it'll hit this oval window, and then it goes boom, 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 boom. And dependent on how many boom, boom, booms per second, it'll stimulate different hair cells. And then it'll send the signal through this auditory nerve to the temporal lobe somewhere, wherever, the temporal lobes, to be interpreted, to be perceived. And that's it. Questions? It's kind of like, it's a lot like sight. You want me to go through it again? Hammer, should I go through it again? You think people need me to say it again? I don't think so either. Okay. All right. Okay, guys.
If you break one of those 3 bones, though,
Oh, yeah.
they're done, right?
Well, you can have surgery performed, and then you could put you could put in like a fake bone. That's called conduction deafness. Conduction deafness. Yeah. And then this one, if you damage the auditory nerve or the sensory receptors, the auditory receptors, it's called sensory deafness. Because yeah, right.
So how does a hearing aid work? Like, does it replace one of these?
What's that?
A hearing aid, like, does that replace one of the bones, or does that just?
Hearing aids, all they do is they have a microphone on one side, and on the other side they have little speakers, tiny little speakers. All it does is amplify it.
So it just messes with the loudness part, doesn't?
It can also, yes, but it can also like target frequencies. Like it can quiet like the lower ones and raise the higher ones, or vice versa. Yeah. So it can like pick and choose which ones it wants to focus on. It could be all of them and just increase the volume, the intensity that's being funneled in, or it can select certain ones.
I like the hammer one.
The hammer. Oh, yeah, that would be you. The malleus. Okay, that's it for hearing. Let's talk about taste. Taste. Okay, now we have we have papillae. Now papillae are the bumps that you can see. Papillae house taste buds. Taste buds house taste receptors. So it's a collection of taste receptors that make up taste buds. And then the taste buds are housed in the papillae. So for sight, we have photoreceptors, rods and the cones. For sound, we have auditory receptors, the hair cells. For taste, we have taste receptors. And we don't give them like we don't give them fancy names like, the rods and the cones or hair cells. We just say they're taste receptors, and we have 5 basic tastes. So here are our 5 basic tastes: salty, sour, bitter, sweet, and umami. Umami is savory, it's protein. Now, we needed to detect, our ancestors needed to detect these different tastes. Um, our tastes, our sense of taste, and our sense of sight are the 2 strongest senses that we have, that we needed for survival. Right? So we need salt in our bodies. These are the electrolytes for our nerves, our neurons to fire. We need sour. These are acids. We need sour things for many things, for enzymatic activity or pH balances or digestion. So we need sour things. We need acids. Bitter these things that are bitter are bases, but they're also things that are toxic are bitter. Poisons are bitter. Sweet is obvious. We want to detect sweet because we came from our ancestors came from places where we were using a lot of fruits to survive. We wanted to make sure that our food was ripened. And umami, we need to detect protein because protein are the building blocks of everything that we are. We are protein and water. Now, we have different tastes and perceptions of tastes and sensation of tastes dependent on our genetics. Some people are super tasters, they're like hypersensitive to taste. Our culture, different cultures like things that are like our culture, the American culture. We like things that are heavy and fat and sugar and salt, right? Other cultures, they're more focused on the protein, the umami, the savory. I mean, even spicy things, which you notice spice isn't a taste. It's pain. Spicy things are activating pain receptors. Learning, uh, we will appreciate things more or less dependent on our experiences. Right? If you grow up eating sushi, you're gonna like sushi. You grow up eating cheeseburgers and French fries, you're gonna like cheeseburgers and French fries. If you had a bad experience with a food, you're not gonna like it anymore. If you had a great experience with a food, you're gonna love it. You're gonna want it more. Then lastly, food attractiveness. They say if you ever worked at a restaurant, you eat with your eyes first. So you want to make it, the appearance of it, decent. That has an impact on how we taste things. You know what else has an impact? The smell. How things smell impacts our flavor. You know what else impacts flavor? By the way, flavor is the sense of taste and smell together. Um, Crunchiness, texture has an impact on how we experience flavor. The sound of foods. Like you watch a commercial for, I don't know, TGI Fridays, Applebee's, something, and they got like a skillet, they got like a little sizzler, and they have the sound that has an impact on how you experience it. Who'll be talking? All right. That's it for taste. Let's go to smell. So the obvious thing with taste, I didn't say this, but I should say this. I don't know why I didn't. When we put food or objects on our tongue, the saliva breaks it down into its basic components, and then we can detect the chemical that's placed on our tongue as made up of something ionic for, like, I don't know, salts or something, or it's high in carbohydrates for sweet, or something like that. High in acids for sour, high in bases for bitter. So the sense of smell works like taste, but instead of it landing on our tongue, it lands in our nose. All you need to know is that our snot breaks down the chemicals in the air, and then it stimulates what are called olfactory receptors. That's all I want you to know. So we have photoreceptors, the rods and the cones. We have auditory receptors, the hair cells. We have taste receptors, and now we have olfactory. Olfaction means smell. Any questions? Never understood why people like smelling roses. I've never understood that. You know what I like the smell of though? Carnations. It reminds me of when I was like in middle school and I'd buy carnations for my girlfriend, or girls I liked. It reminds me of that. That's the only thing it reminds me of. I like the smell of it. Cheap things, they were cheap. But guys gotta do what a guy's gotta do. Am I right? I'm right. Can odors have a psychological effect on you? Can they change the way you think or feel or act? Heck yeah, they can. Yeah, they can. Things like things that are foul, like poop, makes people angry. Seriously, foul things, nasty things, make people want to fight. It makes them aggressive. Things that remind you of your gam gam, right? Maybe your gam gam made a special beef dish or meatballs or pie or something makes you happy. Hammer, what makes you think of your gam gam? What smell makes you think of your what was your grandmother good at making?
Oh, she didn't cook.
Oh
Cigarette
no,
smell makes me think of her.
a cigarette.
Yeah.
Yeah. Koku, what did your grandmother cook really well?
Eh?
What did your grandmother cook well?
Please? I can hear very clearly. Can you repeat that again?
Okay. Your grandmother,
Yes.
was she a good cook? Did she cook good food?
Yes.
What was your favorite thing?
He's a hunter, so he like bake wild animal like some barbecue.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Okay. What was your favorite kind of thing that she would barbecue?
Me personally, I like fish, so
Fish?
fish.
What's
I
your
don't eat too much uh, meat,
I like
so I
fish.
like.
Do you eat raw fish?
No,
No? Have you tried raw fish?
no.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Live, live, live.
Yes.
What did your grandmother make the best?
Oh man, okay. My old granny. I feel like my favorite thing that she would make would be like the sausage and gravy for like the breakfast in the morning. Her
Word.
breakfast was
Good.
always really good.
You put it on biscuits?
It was always really good. Everything was homemade.
Oh,
Yep, she would always make it all homemade, and like the sausage she would do herself, and like my grandfather, he would go up to Alaska to hunt because they used to live there.
yeah.
So everything she canned herself. Oh,
Oh,
so good. And
yep.
like all the stuff was from off the farm.
Yep. Nice.
So that
Okay. Meanwhile, Hammer thinks of a pack of camels.
I cook. Grandma didn't cook. Grandma just smoked cigarettes and yelled at us.
Right. My grandma smoked cigarettes too, but she was a heck of a cook, though. She was Italian.
She could put together a hell of a puzzle, my grandma.
Yeah, mine too. Koku, my grandma, my nanny is what I called her nanny. She used to make the best fried fish. Best.
Oh, really?
The
You
crust
should
was
try
like
it not cooked.
it was like fluffy and I don't know how to describe it. It was so good. I miss my grandma. Yeah. And the best meatballs too. And best, yeah. All right. Now, let's talk about the skin, our fifth and final organ, our fifth and final sense organ. Forgive me. The basic skin senses include, I usually ask this question, so know that. So we got pressure, we got temperature, and pain. But the question, when you get it, it's going to say warmth, cold, pain, and just touch. I'm not going to ask you to know about the free nerve endings, where they are in the epidermis or the dermis. I'm not going to ask you, that kind of thing. I want you to know what the basic skin senses are. Skip this. Skip that. All right. I usually ask questions about this. Kinesthesis, the sense of body position and movement of body parts. It means that you know where, like, you can close your eyes and you can feel where your body is. That's kinesthesis. Equilibrium, the sense of balance. And what is this due to? The semicircular canals in the inner ear. I'll show you that in a second. The sense organs in the inner ear, which contribute to equilibrium by responding to rotation of the head. They're fluid filled. So when you move your head, the semicircular canals, within it, the fluid moves. It tells your head, hey, you're turning, you're upside down. No, 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 no. Okay. I don't ask about critical period versus sensitive periods. That's a 200 level thing. So that's it for today. We'll start chapter 7 on Wednesday. Does anyone have any questions? Any concerns? Well, okay then. Have a super Monday. I'll see you Wednesday. I'm going to stop recording. Okay, bye.